If you're thinking about Calgary's luxury market, here's what helping dozens of families navigate million-plus purchases have taught our team over the last year or two. Whether you're relocating from other provinces or moving up from your current Calgary home, most buyers are making the same expensive assumptions about market timing. Now, Alberta has gained over 30,000 new residents in Q1 alone, and that's creating a dynamic that most people aren't quite prepared for. We've talked a lot about it, and you've seen it. You've probably felt it in our city. But look at this. Right here, over 30,000 people have moved to Alberta just in Q1 of 2025, and that's only interprovincial migrations. A lot of them pretty much are coming from Ontario and BC still. So we're still seeing people move to Alberta, and you may be one of those individuals, and you might be looking at $1 million. Regardless of coming from another province or moving up inside of our city, the luxury market in Calgary has something going for it that is on a lot of headlines and is talked a lot across Canada. So let's break down some stats and look, because Calgary had 179 sales last month of $1 million or more. Canmore had 15 places, Chestermere had 7, Airdrie had 6, and over in the rural areas, you saw 17 and 32 in Foothills and Rocky View County. There's about 642 active properties in the city right now of Calgary, and there's about 44 that are currently pending, so conditionally sold. Now, when we look at the months of inventory, which is a critical number when you're looking at all of this, 30-day is kind of the trend of what's happening. 90-day is a little bit more stable. So you can quickly see all the areas except Chestermere, it looks like, are actually trending to a little bit of a slower market. Chestermere, again, actually, the reason for that is because it's going to be a lake neighborhood. So homes over $1 million in the summer, you're probably going to see, you do see the market shift there compared to other areas. But Calgary itself has gone from 2.9 to 3.8 months of inventory. Now, the whole city itself is sitting at 3.3 months of inventory. Homes over $1 million are 3.8. So it's really not that far off from the whole market, right? Canmore itself is sitting at 6.3 months of inventory. Chestermere's 5.6. Cochrane, they're sitting at 13. Clearly, not a lot has sold over the last 30 days, and there's a lot more actives, one or the other. And Airdrie actually is staying really tight at 2.2. So again, smaller market, right? Because you only had 6 sales and 13 actives up in Airdrie. So other areas like Heritage Point sitting at 4 months of inventory, Okotoks 4 months. Pritis dropped really quickly down to 2 months. And again, your rural areas are sitting at 4.5 and 4.4 months of inventory. So most of the market is sitting between kind of your 2.5, 3 months, which is flirting with the seller's market, up to, let's call it your 6 or 7, which is getting into your buyer's markets. And for $1 million or over, I mean, something sitting at 3.5 months of inventory, that's moving pretty quickly in my opinion. So what is happening with the median sale price in Calgary? Right now, we're sitting at $1.29 million for homes over $1 million for the median sale price. Canmore is sitting at 1.6, and most of that has kind of stayed the same. Like it's been fairly steady that way. You can see 1.3 in Foothills County, 1.6 in the Rocky View County, and then you got all the other numbers here. Dollar per square foot. This includes land. This isn't just your house square footage. This includes everything. And so your dollar per square foot in Calgary for homes over $1 million are sitting at 534 square feet. Or dollars per square feet, I should say. And Canmore is sitting at $876 per square feet. Cochrane, $724. Pritis had something really nice sell that was very large because it's $1,290 per square foot for last month. And $700, $600 for your Foothills counties, right? So this is kind of just a comparison, like where you're going to get the most for your dollar. So this is actually interesting. So we just looked at the months of inventory for Chestermere, and it was sitting at 5.6 and it sped up, but it's actually the cheapest area for dollar per square foot. So if you're looking for the largest home for the cheapest price that's in a decent market, Chestermere might be the place you want to look at. Now, here's all the numbers in one place. You can quickly look at it, take a screen grab if you want. But here's what Calgary is doing. We had 179 sales this last month, And last year we had 173. So we saw a 12% drop in sales in homes across our whole city. And homes over $1 million, we saw a 1% increase. So that 173 to 179. And basically, I know there's a lot of comments from the past luxury videos saying, well, it's just because prices went up. True, but not all homes are over $1 million. In fact, I would probably start saying, like, you're not gonna, like, maybe the bigger homes, like your 28, 3,000 square foot properties in your typical suburb neighborhoods are now over $1 million, but there's still a majority of detached properties that before maybe were like your 550s to 7s that are now your 750s to 950s. So there's still a ton of properties that aren't over $1 million. So I understand the argument saying, well, prices just went up and that's the reason there's more home selling. Well, it is and it isn't. I think what's happening is there's still people moving from other cities. There's people moving up in our city who are in a great financial place, and they may have owned a property that went from 650 to 850, and they're going to sell their 850, 900, and they're upsizing into a neighborhood that they've always wanted to live in, or they grew up in. They want to go back inner city. Those inner city neighborhoods are kind of holding their value, and a lot of those you end up seeing some of those people who are buying from that 9 to the 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3. But when they're doing that, and they're moving inner city or moving into the bigger home, right now there's just not a lot of market. There's not a lot of options, and a lot of, I know on our team, 3 or 4 of the agents right now on our team are working with a handful of buyers each that are all doing pretty much this exact thing. And they're all trying to move up into this 1 to 1, even 5, 6, 7, 8 range, but there's just not a lot of options for them to choose from. It's true, because when you look at the numbers for detached homes, there's only 2.7 months of inventory for detached homes over $1 million. When you move to semi-detached, you get a 3.7, and then your townhomes and your apartments just skyrocket from there. But it's been months of this 2.79 or 2.8 months of inventory for detached homes. And it actually went down July, where a lot of things are slowing down. This actually tightened up a little bit. And so our market in the city for detached homes over $1 million, I understand price has gone up, but it's not just that. There's other dynamics that are hitting on our market. And so when you look at the 90-day months of inventory, so right here is the $2 million mark. The only one in this price range that's sitting at 3.26 and 3.44, everything else is in a seller's market. Even this 2 million to 2.2 is sitting in a very strong seller's market because there was 6 sales and I think 7 actives or something like that. But when you get above that, the 2.3 mark, that's when you start seeing shifting markets completely. Even so much, you got 24 months of inventory in the 2.5 to 2.6 range. So there's a lot of dynamics that are happening in a market. You can see a lot of active properties in here, but when you actually start breaking that out into where they are in the city and what areas they are, sometimes you can only have like 5 homes to choose from in certain neighborhoods, and not all of them are what someone's looking for. So they'll sit a little bit longer. Some of them move super quick. Or they're overpriced, right? They're asking 1.6 when really it's a 1.3 house. They're just hoping. And it's just kind of, it's a real different market. And so there's so many dynamics that come into play. So I want to share with you 2 neighborhoods that if you're planning on buying in these neighborhoods, they are moving really, really quickly. So be aware that you might have to go into multiples. You are just going to be having a lot of competition. And if you are selling and you're planning on leaving these 2 areas, you have a lot of demand on your properties. So as for over $1 million. So the first one is West Springs. Now over $1 million, this is the whole market here, but over $1 million is this section right here. Okay. So they had 9 sales last month, 12 actives, and their months of inventory is 1.67 months of inventory, which is really, really low. And that was the 30-day number, and the 90-day number was actually 1.88. So it has a stable market that is in a seller's market, and it's been there for the last 90 days. And so they have a median sale price for last month of $1.38 million. So if you're looking at that and you're saying, hey, you know what, we live in West Springs and we're moving up into this area and we're gonna sell our 800 house and move up into the 1.1 or something like that, it could be tough. So there's gonna be a lot of competition. The next one is Altadore. So with Altadore, you can quickly see it doesn't have the same, volume in the lower end of the market. It is much more of kind of that higher end market type neighborhood. And you do have some condos down here, but over $1 million. Last month, they had 9 sales, there's 20 actives, and it's sitting at 2.44 months of inventory. And so over the last 30 days, they have had a lot of sales and things are moving pretty quickly. And it was 2.2 for the 90-day months of inventory too. So the median sale price there is 1.1 million for last month. And so if you're in either of these areas, Altadore or in West Springs, know that things are moving really, really quickly and you're gonna have an opportunity if you're selling. You're gonna have to fight if you're a buyer. Now, 2 areas that are actually moving really slowly. The first one is Curry Barracks. Look how different these charts look. So over $1 million, right now, there's 5 here, 2 here, probably 1 sale here, and 1 active down there. Because they've only had 1 sale, there's 8 actives, and so they've got 8 months of inventory for Curry Barracks. And it is a great neighborhood, like incredible location. It's right across. So you've got Altadore on one side of Crowchild Trail and Curry Barracks on the other side. They're literally neighbors. And you've got one of the fastest moving high-end areas in the city. And right now, one of the slower ones right across from each other. So this is what I mean when neighborhoods, it doesn't matter if they're like side by side, they have completely different dynamics going for them. And now to throw a real wrench into everything, if you want to look at Panorama Hills, this one is also a very slow market for millions and over. There's 8 actives and only 1 sale. So they have a 9 or 8 months of inventory roughly for the last 30 days and about a 6.8. So they're slowing down. And so these dynamics that are happening in our city, whether you're up in the suburbs like Panorama Hills where it is a little bit slower, but you have a lot of activity down below here, or you're in somewhere like Altadore, the market is shifting and it's dynamic. And usually in the summer, things are slowing down, but we've kind of had a late spring market, so it's pushed into the summer. And so if you want to learn all about that, jump into the description, grab our market update, the free download where we have tons of information in there for you. And I hope this information is great. And if you need help buying or selling in the luxury market, please reach out to us. We would love to share what we can do, and we'll see you up in this video.